From the heartland of America and the gateway to the West, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm George-Noory. Welcome to Coast AM. Next hour, those special open lines. A hotline as well for weird stories. And also, as promised, those native Hawaiians, call me with your pigeon tongue. That's what we want to hear. Well, it happened again in New York. 2 construction workers were killed, another critically injured when a construction crane just collapsed in Upper Manhattan during the morning rush hour. It's the second construction crane collapse in the Manhattan area in less than 3 months. 7 people were killed in March when a construction crane toppled over, plowing through several residential buildings. The storms continue. As a matter of fact, here in St. Louis, here for one more week, they just don't stop. But a storm system that brought rain, hail, and strong winds to several Midwestern states spawned tornadoes in parts of Nebraska. A few businesses sustained severe damage, and at least one house was partially destroyed when the tornado struck the southern outskirts of Aurora, Nebraska. In Boston, a fire destroyed a landmark seafood business on the waterfront early Friday, snarling rush hour traffic and raising fears that the building would collapse into the harbor. Damage estimated at $5 million, including the loss of about 60,000 pounds of lobster. A Japanese man who was mystified when food kept disappearing from his kitchen set up a hidden camera and found an unknown woman living secretly in his closet. The 57-year-old unemployed man called police when the camera sent pictures to his mobile phone of an intruder in his home while he was out. Officers rushed to the house and found a 58-year-old woman hiding in an unused closet where she had a mattress and plastic drink bottles. Police suspect she may have been there for several months. She simply said, "I didn't have anywhere to live." The weather looks good for NASA's planned Saturday launch of the Shuttle Discovery to deliver a massive new laboratory to the International Space Station. And how is the Mars Phoenix lander doing? On the line with us now, head of the Enterprise mission, Richard Hoagland, author of the book Dark Mission. Here he is. Richard, you're always busy, my friend.
Oh, very busy these days.
And by the way, next week, we're going to play, probably next Friday, your speech before the Libertarian Party. Just want you to know that. Which
will raise some interesting eyebrows in many quarters.
Excellent. Anyway, so first of all, shuttle launches Saturday. So far, so good?
Shuttle launches tomorrow. Weather is 80% that it will go at 5:02 Eastern Daylight Time. This is a big mission. This is probably the biggest thing the shuttle has ever taken into space to attach to the International Space Station. It's the second of 3 components for the Japanese module called Kibo, which means hope. And it basically takes up the entire payload bay. They actually had to offload on the last mission, 123, the long boom they used to explore and look at the tiles for safety for reentry.
Mm-hmm.
So what they'll do now, instead of doing the survey of the shuttle's surface thermal protection system before they dock with the station, they will go to the station, they'll dock, they'll offload the Kibo module, and then they will put the boom back on, which has been parked on the outside of the space station for a couple of months, and they'll do the survey before they come home in about 2 weeks.
Excellent. And how are we doing with the Phoenix lander, Richard?
Well,
What's happening there?
I just love making predictions that come almost true. Remember I told the Libertarian Banquet on Sunday night, about 10 minutes after we landed, that this mission could well announce the discovery of potential life on Mars, either past or current microbes in the soil, right?
Right.
Now, life depends on water. And on Mars, near the North Pole, at 68.8 degrees of where they are, the water is frozen. It's as hard as steel. Well, guess what? At today's press conference, live from Arizona, from Phoenix Central, they showed a picture taken with the boom, this arm that they've now deployed, which has really cool cameras at the end of it that can look under this Phoenix spacecraft, and lo and behold, it looks like there is a big patch of ice right at the surface that the Phoenix lander came down on when its 12 retro rockets lowered it safely to the surface of the sandy Martian soil.
You mean it doesn't even have to dig? It's right there?
It's right at the surface. Now, what this means is when you look out at those pictures, remember I said the first night I came on that this looked like tundra.
Mm-hmm.
The calculations based on the imaging from orbit, from Odyssey, that indicated that the ice could be as close as a few inches beneath this soil, apparently is true, and it was the abrasive effect of the retro rockets as the Phoenix was lowered down to land gently on those three legs that blew away the overlaying layers and exposed the ice. Now, they can't get to this ice with the digger, with the arm. It's geometrically not possible. But what this means is that there will be other ice a few feet away out where the arm can reach, and they expect in the next few days, by next week, maybe by next Friday, to have scraped enough of the topsoil away to where they might be able to sample that ice, bring it back into the analysis instruments, and then, of course, Linda's excellent report of last night comes into full play because we actually, with the optical microscope on board, she was right. We actually might see little living things, little microbes in this soil because the ice is so prevalent and it's so readily available to the instruments.
That's exciting. And what do you think of that anomaly that they see in the foreground there?
The one on the horizon, you know, I'm getting more puzzled by that by the moment, politically, because I have been looking through the 1,000-plus images that have come down so far, and except for that one picture, I can't find it. Now, I've looked at the picture carefully.
Okay.
It does not look like an anomaly. It looks like, and this is the downside of the story, like NASA's doing its same old thing, covering interesting things up. I hate to say that, but I look carefully. It doesn't appear to be a reflection or a problem with the transmission. It looked to be a bright spire out near the horizon reflecting sunlight. Do you understand how tundra works, George? If this place used to... Well, tundra, basically, you got lots of ice underneath. You have soil on top, and the ice freezes and thaws, and it expands and contracts.
Okay.
So what it does is it pushes stuff up from underneath so they eventually come to sit on top. So if this place was flooded millions of years ago in the catastrophe, and all this stuff flooded north from whatever happened near the equator, then over the millions of years, the freeze-thaw cycles can bring all kinds of interesting things up from way down underneath, maybe a mile down if there's a mile of sediments. So that could have been anything interesting, i.e. made by somebody from a previous cycle of civilization on Mars. And if NASA doesn't want to tell us yet, if we're on this time-release aspirin, drip, 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 then they're not going to tell us. And that's why we need, Joe Buckland's idea, which is we protect whistleblowers inside NASA, and we get people legal protection to tell us what is really there, even if the agency doesn't want to.
Absolutely. That's Richard C. Hoagland, head of the EnterpriseMission.com, best-selling author, too, Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA. Richard, thank you so much. A story we have been following over the last several weeks unfolded in Denver today. Proof, perhaps, of extraterrestrials? What do you think? Well, on the coasttocoastam.com website, we've got a still photograph of some little creature peeking through a window. That's right, the peeping-tom alien, possibly. Jeff Peckman, a Denver resident, believer in alien life, has begun to put his work all over the place trying to get an extraterrestrial affairs commission together, and also Stan Romanek, who is working on a documentary and who videotaped this thing, whatever it may be. They were both on the program last night. On the line with us now, Corey Lopez from our affiliate in Denver, KHOW. Corey, were you at the news conference? What can you tell us?
I was, and I got a chance to watch the movie, actually, that had this peeping-tom alien in it. It was interesting when Jeff Peckman introduced it, and actually Alejandro Rojas with the Mutual UFO Network was there to kind of introduce this as well. They made all of the television cameras pan. They don't want to release this yet. They're calling on experts to take a look at this video because they don't want to throw it out there and bloggers get after it and supposed experts on the internet and have them throw out a bunch of theories. They really would like to have some other experts come forward and try to, at least tell them what this is. They've had one person from the Colorado Film Institute, that's Jerry Hoffman, take a look at it. He says this was shot by one camera and there was no editing. And it was interesting. It just as it appears, that alien popped up and down about 4 or 5 times, and it was tough to